Branching immediately off of yesterday's video, right at the end of that is where I saw a potential path in which I could explore, and I've chosen to separate that out into now this own video. And I think that's actually a perfect way to begin this, is when I think about language, there is, like, when it, how do I explain this? So, water, agua, they are one-to-one directly translatable between English and Spanish. There is no debate of like, oh, but this means something a little bit differently. Like, no, they are directly translatable. And then when you get to higher concepts, like clearly some concepts are built on others. And so all languages seem to have this core base set of fundamental concepts upon which everything else is built. And when you begin to branch out, that's where the languages begin to differ, because they will have words for things that do not exist in the other language, because the people that spoke this language in this area of the world thought about things in this way, and they created these words to match these thoughts. And then these people went the other way and created different cultures and different thoughts and created different words to match those. And so you end up with words that can roughly translate, but not exactly. It's like you can't just say this word means this word. It's like you have to give a thorough explanation, a definition in this language of this word in the other language. And eventually you get to a level, very high level concepts, where it's just people struggle to, if at all, explain what this means by using words of the other language, because it's just so different than what these type of people would think about. And that's like a big long-term goal that I want to build a map of this, essentially. Not a map of consciousness, but a map of conceptness, a map of our concepts and the words that we apply to them. And again, I went on a bit of a tangent and lost track of the point I was getting back to. Gosh dang it. So I have to restart the recording so I can watch the recording and remember the thing I was going to say. Right, so it was about mapping things out. That this is my idea of mapping out language and using that as a worded version of the map of the mind, sorta. There's a lot more to it. Actually, I wouldn't say map of the mind, because the mind is a totally different, it function. There's like all these different functions about it, and you have to figure out how they interact and blah, blah. That's something else entirely. I'm talking about a map of our concepts. Not a map of the mind, map of concepts. And not a map of consciousness, because those are all three of those things are completely different. What was I going to talk about? I lost it again. Right. So I think that this is something that should be, or could be, or would be helpful to apply to everything. Why don't we map things out? For me personally, I love seeing things visually. I love graphs, I love charts, I love habit trackers, I love sleep trackers, where I could see the hours I've slept and be like, oh no, I didn't sleep those nights. Well, actually, I did sleep these nights, I just didn't write down. But like on other nights, I can be like, I can see how little I slept and understand why I'm feeling as miserable. And I just love graphs and charts and maps. And all, not just maps of land, but like maps of concepts, showing how they link together. Flowcharts, all these things are amazing. Like in one of my other videos, I talked about how I see journaling, long-form journaling, as like one of the most underrated skills. And actually writing in general is one of the most underrated skills. The amount of power in the ability to write and get your thoughts down and then look at them and analyze them more effectively, because they're right there and you're not trying to hold on to all of them all at once and then analyze them. It's like, no, they're already here. The paper is holding on to the thoughts for you and you can see them and analyze them. It frees up more processing power. With how underrated I think writing is, I think the graphs and charts and flow charts and all these other things, maps of how you can connect things, is like a different type of writing that is like a concept built on that concept and is even more underrated. Because, like I said, for me personally, getting to see something laid out in front of me, see a calendar, helps me understand time so much more effectively. And ultimately, I think one of the things I want to try to do in life is to apply this mapping concept to not just concepts themselves, but to discussions, to debate, to argument, because that would immediately solve a lot of the problems you have in very complicated discussions and debates. Some of those problems that I witness very frequently being people forgetting what they said. Well, it's like if you wrote it down and you mapped it out as you're discussing it, you could figure out where you're agreeing, where you're disagreeing, and track it and be able to debate things from both sides more effectively. The efficiency of this versus not this is definitely debatable, and I wish we had more data to debate. But yeah, this has been a way of thinking that has dominated my thought processes on everything for a long time. Like more than 6 months. But especially in the last 6 months. Because each video that I make on this channel almost is a single entry on that map. But I don't want to make the map in video form. I want to make it on paper. So I can look at it and see it, not just as a list of videos of... I want to see the branching of it. I don't know if this is making any sense. So please let me know down below what you think. Subscribe if you want to see more, and share my videos with anyone else you think might enjoy them or find them interesting or might have something to tell me that I would find interesting. And take care.